So, how does a grandmaster cheat? There's a bunch of different ways you can speculate. However, this week, chess.com released some private emails to Vice magazine in which Grandmaster Maxime Dlugy, Hans's coach, not only admits to cheating, but also gives some insight and some reasoning as to how he did it. And we're going to take a look at the article.
Play and I think his mentor Maxime Dlugy must be doing a great job.
His mentor Maxime Dlugy must be doing a great job. I was speculating in the last video. A lot of other players were as well about Title Tuesday, potential fair play infractions. And everyone's trying to figure out in what capacity are they working together or in the past, stuff like that. However, Vice came out with an article here, a very juicy one a few days ago. I've been a little under the weather. Chess Grandmaster Maxime Dlugy admitted to cheating on chess.com. Emails show. So the big thing here is they have email proof, which was released from chess.com, which we'll talk about because that's also like generally not done, unprecedented. But there's we'll read a couple paragraphs here. Maxime Dlugy, one of Niemann's coaches, was banned from chess.com in 2017 and 2020 for repeatedly cheating in its tournaments, according to emails reviewed by Motherboard, in which Dlugy admits to cheating. They include a lengthy explanation from Dlugy in which he says that students from his chess academy were watching him play in a chess.com tournament, and that one of them was using chess AI to feed him moves. Talk a bit about Dlugy. He has a chess academy, charges $250 per hour, blah, blah, blah. But it's the emails that are the juicy thing, because that's more proof than what we've been used to in this kind of closed world of chess. Admittance of guilt, right? So I'm going to scroll down to the emails, but chess.com provided the emails to Motherboard, in case you're curious. I think Motherboard is Vice's tech arm. So we're going to look at those emails, and we're still trying to figure out what the direct connection is. I know they previously worked together, but it is interesting. They've both, Hans and Maxime, have both been caught at least twice. Dlugy told Motherboard that he believes cheating is rife on chess.com, but would not comment specifically on the emails. So he believes there's lots of cheating. That is a fairly common answer. There have been some cases of grandmasters being caught cheating online, and their reasoning has been because I thought my opponent was cheating, or I was sure my opponent was cheating, or because everyone is cheating. In that case, the everyone is cheating is kind of like the steroids in baseball where everyone is taking it, I'm going to take it. So I'm not saying that was given as an excuse here, but it has been in the past as a reason. I'll let you judge if that's okay or not. I definitely don't think it is. So we're going to take a look at the emails that were released, because that is the juiciest part. That's something we're not used to seeing in chess, right? So this is an email. This is about the 2017 Title Tuesday for Maxime Dlugy, the one in question, 2017. Hi, Danny. It's been a few months, and I finally got to the bottom of what happened during the Title Tuesday. It's been a few months. I was playing on a laptop with the TV screen hooked up to it, so the kids in the group I was teaching could follow the moves. The kids' ratings were in the 1500 to 1950 range, and as part of the class, they would scream out their suggestions as I was thinking about my moves. I am now positive that one of the kids was using a program on his cell while this was going on. As you can imagine, I liked many of his moves, though I had no idea that he was using assistants to generate them. I also played moves suggested by other kids, and other kids would often scream out his move as well, as this move made a lot of sense. Although I don't have direct proof, I'm almost certain that this is what actually happened. And in this way, I was actually getting many strong engine-generated moves during the two tournaments in question. Two tournaments in question in 2017. Not one tournament, but two. So that is new to me, and I actually haven't read this whole article until now. I like to do it the first time when I'm recording. So first of all, total BS, right? Total BS. Lots of coaches. I've coached a lot. Everyone coaching kids. Kids, will cheat on their chess homework, or it's very easy to tell when they're using an engine. In this particular case, I've done this many times. I have played Blitz in front of kids during summer camps for years, and I explain my moves, and they're allowed to blurt out move suggestions. I'm talking about casual games, not Title Tuesday. But if they start blurting out really strong moves, I'm going to catch that. Like, it only takes, even in my Twitch channel, if somebody starts suggesting like world-class moves in against like world-class players, like hard moves to find in a class where nobody's an expert, okay, the first move, yes, anybody can come up with the same move as a really good player. The reasoning might be different. So when I'm with kids, I'll often be like, okay, why do you want, hey, that's an interesting move. Why do you want to play that? But to start playing entire games in a money event because of your kid suggestions, and then this is like, absolutely not. You'll tell right away if your kid is using an engine, and if a kid in your class is playing better Blitz than some of the best players in the world. That doesn't go on for, in my opinion, a game, but it certainly doesn't go on for an entire tournament, and it certainly does not go on for 2 tournaments. That you start playing money events, and as a GM, instead of playing your own moves, you start fielding questions from the kids in your class and just start playing their moves, and ride that wave into world-class results. Like, there are so many levels where you just have to believe like ridiculous things to actually even entertain this theory. But no, like, especially like from chess teaching professionals, absolutely not. You'll just ask the kids how they came up with that move, and usually after a few minutes they'll be like, yeah, I was doing homework and I turned on, I used the shortcut, I turned on the engine, or they'll say I don't know. But they're not going to be able to say I don't know for 20 straight amazing moves or 2 straight tournaments. So this is one of the worst excuses I've ever heard in chess. Blaming the kids and for 2 tournaments. What does it say right here? Yes, the kids as a group were responsible for many strong engine moves during 2 tournaments in question. Yeah, so that's like, I don't know if you believe that. I'd love to sell you everything. So that's 2017. So that's actually a very entertaining email, because it also took him a few months to write that. It's been a few months. Taking a few months to come up with that when it's something you'd know right away or not. It's not something that takes a few months. Like, is this kid like the next Magnus, or was it like what? No, of course, as a coach right away, your relationship with your students, just ask them like straight up, how are you coming up with these moves? So that's like a really, really bad email. I agree it was not the only time. Oh, I haven't seen this. And the student was there. Yes, the student has always been there. The student, I wonder which student that was. almost makes you wonder which student that was, right? Yes, when the student wasn't there, Maxime wasn't doing well on Title Tuesday. It's like, man, if I have like a little kid in my class, and whenever they're there, I'm the best in the world, and when they're there, I'm not. I mean, something's real off there. So anyways, so there's some email chains. You can read the rest of it. That's 2017. Those are the emails there. And, they found a correlation with engine moves multiple times. And now you have 2020. Do we have any 2020 emails? Let's see here. But according to emails newly obtained by Motherboard from 2017 and 2020, Dlugi admitted to cheating multiple times on chess.com and was originally banned from the platform but allowed to come back under a different account, which was later banned after he was caught cheating again. So this is like an adult with a chess business who's been a GM for 20, 30 years, repeatedly cheating in online money events, even after being banned, right? So, some people have this theory like once a cheater, always a cheater, because it's like, how do you keep doing it? Like, how do you keep doing it? When are you gonna learn? At least according to these emails, right? So we have that. Neiman did not respond to Motherboard's request. None of the chess.com emails reviewed by Motherboard mention or pertain to Neiman. Do we have anything from 2020? It looks like these are all 2017. They spoke on the phone. You can read this on Vice. Let's see over here. Wrench goes on to tell Dlugi that any confessions or full acknowledgement by you would remain private, and that chess.com would be willing to consider giving him his account back should he provide us with a more full admittance of all actions taken on our site, although they would not likely allow him to compete in any cash events. I agree. Oh, let's see. Yes, okay, this is from, wait a second. So this is from 2020 now. Next email, April 30th, 2020. That's around the time in my recent video where he stopped playing. Yes, I agree that I violated the rules as I had some help in some of the games from an outside source. I promise it will not happen again. Best, Maxime Dlugi. Oh, this is a juicy email. So there's probably a decent chance some viewers have been banned for cheating, like people watching this right now. But I want to read this out because I've never had it. Dear Maxime, after analyzing the activity of your second chance account, Maxime Dlugi, the Fair Play team has found that you've actively violated the chess.com Fair Play policy, which can be found here. chess.com/legal #rules. As a result, your account, Maxime Dlugi, has been permanently closed. Blah, blah, blah. They're not discussing it, but they have the evidence. That was the second chance account. The last part. As a titled player, we would like to offer you a final chance to reestablish yourself within the chess.com community. If you choose to acknowledge any of the behaviors that you feel might have resulted in your account being closed within the next 72 hours, we may try to work with you privately to have a new account opened, equipped with a title and diamond membership. Sincerely, the Fair Play team. So even a couple times in 2017, minimum cheating, engine assistance, that's cheating. 2020, again, that's the third time, and on a second chance account. And even then, chess.com is still offering for them to come back if they acknowledge some of the things. So, in my opinion, that's too generous from chess.com, first of all. But, they have the business to run and all the considerations. But I certainly would not be that nice at all. Like, especially with the reasoning given. You blame kids and then you get a new account and you just do it again. Like, I don't know why he wasn't banned from money events in the first place and then allowed back in. But, like, even allowing a third chance is, like, crazy. I mean, I think that's too nice. People say, like, Danny's evil, but sometimes I think Danny might be too nice in this case. Too forgiving. Because I definitely wouldn't. That's like flagrant. You should not be allowed back in. A GM cheating is worse than, like, an average person cheating. Like, it's kind of like, I kind of equate it. It's not entirely a good comparison, but if you're a professional fighter, MMA boxer, and you actually punch someone like on the street, that's considered your hands are considered a weapon. You're held to a higher standard because of your training and understanding of your own, ability of your punching and your power. A GM like really like knows like exactly. It's like far more usually like premeditated, or that they understand everything around it. That there's definitely like you have a much higher level of understanding, and as a result, I have much lower tolerance for it. You know how badly it affects the game. You know how you can leverage and use the fact that you're titled to get away with it a bit. That people won't be as they won't accuse you as much, or you can use the title as a shield. I definitely I think GMs. That's the worst. Yes, I agree that I violated. I had some games from an outside source. Okay, so he admitted again, and then he says Dlugi told Motherboard that he is considering legal action against the people who have made him a person of interest in the Neiman situation. He's appalled by the fact that a chess player of Magnus Carlsen's stature would resort to frivolous and false allegations and insinuations. suggesting that I had something to do with Hans Niemann's alleged foul play in either online or over-the-board events. This has been unjustly damaging for me on a personal, family, and business level. I'm exploring legal action. So, you know, I understand why he's mad at Magnus for bringing that up, because now these emails got leaked by chess.com. And I had never seen these emails and did not know that it happened so many times. I was suspicious, and I knew that he was removed from the site because the account was banned, and the games definitely, at least the ones I showed, were like, yeah, like that's too much. But this is at least 3 times, so that's more than I knew. So that's a very juicy Vice article because it is away from the norm. Chess.com does not usually release it. So I'm curious what you guys think about that. Obviously, it's like, oh, if they're releasing this, can they release everything else? But it's a very delicate situation. It's a very delicate situation. I understand why they don't usually release it. What I don't necessarily understand is why they did it in this specific case, unless they maybe wanted it out there that there's proof like that GMs do cheat type of thing. And like even really good. This is the thing about Maxime Dlugy. He was considered, like, he puts on his bio like he was a top ranked blitz player in the world. I think if you Google him, he like has that in his bio or something at one point, like 19, you know, like I've seen it somewhere. So when you have someone who says they were a really good blitz player and they're a GM, people think they're more legit because they've proven themselves by playing blitz. But this is someone who was like a highly ranked blitz player in the 80s or 90s that's still cheating. A GM and good over the board in blitz. So there are some parallels, because in the sense that a couple times online, but parallels in that some people that are looking at the Hans Niemann situation and defending him or looking at his perspective, they're referencing that Hans played a match against MVL, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, one of the top world blitz champion, one of the top blitz players in the world, in Paris, and did well. And it was kind of like a spontaneous match and held up very well there. They're using that as like, hey, he's got really good intuition and instincts. Like, this guy is legit. Like, blitz is like usually, there's fewer cheaters than classical. Like, if he can, do well in blitz against MVL, that says a lot. And I do think it's impressive to do that. But based on this case, it doesn't absolve, it means it's still possible, and people can use that as a shield. So maybe that's why chess.com did it. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But I see on Reddit that there was a response a couple of days ago from the CEO and founder, Eric, not me. We shared emails upon request for a matter of public interest. So the CEO founder, he says, yeah, we did share them for a matter of public interest. Do I know what the baseline is, what the threshold is for public interest, like for them to release it? No. To me, this is the first time I've seen that. So maybe they're going to do more of that. I see people responding to this. This is on Reddit. So curious, what do you think? If you think, like, because at the same time, chess.com is a private company. So some of their stuff, a lot of it's proprietary, right? Like, they can't just share everything. Or I understand why they wouldn't want to, because they've put a lot of money in research, and it's, if it's good, then it's like, it's value that they built themselves as a site in terms of safeguarding and making a more better fair play atmosphere. And you don't want to like release all your methods. I understand that perspective too, but I don't know what the threshold is, like, in terms of releasing emails. But this is big. This is big because I can say a lot of people in 2017, when I spoke to some people, I'll even share an anecdote. I visit Yasser a lot in the Netherlands. He lives there. He's a really good friend, helps the channel out. And I told him about this Title Tuesday incident in 2017. I was just staying at his place and I said, hey, Yasser, like, these guys are from the old guard. Like, he knows Max, like, the US GMs from the 80s, 90s. I'm like, it looks like all signals point to cheating. I told Yasser that in 2017. I was staying at his house, we're having coffee, and he's just shocked. And you see that a lot because when people like, almost every GM has some friends or some people that are going to be like, I've known so and so for a long time. How, like, they wouldn't do that. That's not in their character. So in this case, I told Yasser, he was shocked. And he's also like, but Max is a really good blitz player. Maybe, like, he like was a little perplexed. That was his reaction. Like, he's like, no, he's like a really good blitz player, and like, why would he do that? Like, doesn't really make sense, doesn't really add up. And I understand why he said that. So like, that's just like, I get it. Like, a GM has a family, has a chess academy, was really good at blitz in person, all those things, and people were using that as defense. Understandably, I understand why people were doing that, but that's why I have even less tolerance for it, because that. You as a GM are using that as a barrier, and it's very hard to prove. So that was an interesting thing I just remembered, that like Yasser was definitely a little skeptical when I told him. I'm pretty sure he was. All signals point to it. The games are just like out of this world. But Yasser's not really an online blitz player. He doesn't really play anymore, like follow the stuff. But like I remember he was just shocked. He's like, man, I've known Max for like 30 years. Like, why would he do that? And we just left it there. But I totally could see the hesitation in him initially, like, believing it, because you don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe that everyone, or even friends or people, are cheating in chess, capable of that, because then that's how the paranoia starts. I know too much, so I'm not paranoid, but like, I know it definitely happens, which has permanently shaped my view of chess in some aspects. But yeah, so we have this article, we have the chess.com CEO explaining that they did release it. Really curious what you guys think about that. In terms of, so did I miss anything else? Oh yeah, Nepo yesterday said, I've decided, he just tweeted, Nepo, last year's World Championship challenger. He's been giving a bit of content. Said he had a podcast a week ago where he speaks for an hour about, it says right here, this is on his YouTube channel, Drama, Cheating, St. Louis Tournaments. And then he tweeted yesterday, and this is on Reddit. Well, the translation's on Reddit, but he tweeted on Twitter. I've noticed that nearly everywhere a lot of people require proof and evidence, so I decided to share some thoughts about what can be considered evidence of cheating in chess. And I found a translation here that makes sense. Jan speaks freely, so whether you like or dislike him, I always appreciate people who kind of like share their thoughts and are willing to speak openly, even though they know they might be criticized for it. And yeah, he's one of the best players in the world, and also a very modern player. Both like, he's streamed, played the World Championship match, really like up to date on everything. But he's just like kind of like giving some responses to like what a lot of people like discuss when it comes to cheating. What I mean by, like, he's giving potential examples. So you won the game by strictly playing the first engine line. That's the accusation, and then this would be the response by the person. I was well prepared in the opening and carefully analyzed the variation. I had a good day. My opponent played worse than usual. Typical responses. And he gives his own example that he had pretty much a perfect game in 2017 through opening preparation. So he gave his own anecdote. I thought it was cool. I thought this was a cool tweet, and you can check some of it out. I think a lot of it is kind of common sense to me, but in a refreshing way, because people don't always say it. Like, you win an online tournament by always playing the first engine line. And then the reasoning, like, if someone does that, they're almost for sure cheating. They're going to come up with excuses, but no, like, that doesn't really happen. You won an online blitz or rapid chess tournament without blundering once. Can that happen? You can use statistics. It should happen very, 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 very rarely. And most of the reasoning doesn't make sense, but it could happen. and he gives some like answers there. Uh, Rating going up by a lot. Well, Hans is a young player. That is possible. It doesn't happen as much for stable players, and he gives an example. Igor Rausis, a GM caught cheating, who like in his 50s gained 200 FIDE points, which was a real anomaly. But it is hard to argue against. He's giving reasoning to like common accusations because it's really hard to argue against them. At the end of the day, the burden of proof is pretty high. So yeah, your rating can go up a lot, and there are plenty of cases of that. You're acting strangely over the board. You go to the bathroom after every move. You pretend to think. That's a bit more subjective, he writes. So it's like harder. We found an iPhone in your hand in the bathroom that analyzes the current position. He means this is a joke. Yeah, obviously that incriminates you. Probably the most common. He's a great guy, the most honest man. I've known him for 100 years. He would never. Agree? That's really common. So he's got, I don't know. He it's a bit of common sense to me, but it is refreshing. And so he tweets this out. And yeah, another one. When it's a strong GM or a strong young player in question, why would he do this? He has a reputation to risk, right? The risk is too high. And the truth is, no, like people, especially online, the risk, like GMs do it. Strong GMs do it. And there's not that much money in chess. So even like high level players, there is an incentive. The incentive is there. I think Fabiano's talked about this in one of his recent podcasts. So he's just like talking about scenarios and whether or not they're realistic or not, and you know what he thinks about them. He even this part's interesting. Talking about the opening, Magnus against Hans, and the opening prediction. Cases of surprisingly successful predictions of the opening lines are easy to verify. For example, in ChessBase, in the history section, all the studied positions with the corresponding time tags were saved. That's like a bit of a ChessBase tidbit that kind of means that it shows all your logs. So if you actually have looked at the position or you have prepared for the player in your computer, you can dig in and improve it. So yeah, this was Nepo just giving some thoughts. And yeah, usually he's unfiltered. He just says what's on his mind. So I always appreciate that. You got Fabi, another top player, doing that right now. So it's kind of like, on one hand, it's a dark period because cheating is a really big crisis in chess. On the other hand, with so many top players starting to speak a bit more openly and going in depth, the end result I potentially can feel like will be for the best, and because it's a discussion that's been hidden for a while and that's just been bothering everyone. And so right now I think it's pretty privileged that we do have a lot of people giving their perspectives, and in the end I'd like to think that there's gonna be way more transparency regarding cheating in the future, which is a big improvement over our current situation. So yeah, that was the Vice article with Maxime Dlugy, chess.com releasing emails, and then Nepo sharing some stuff. So yeah, curious what you guys think about that. Is there a connection between Dlugy or parallels? Do you see that? Do you think chess.com should release more emails? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this drama update.